But it's absolutely the Achilles heel of a speaker design is the crossover.
It's the crossover. But that doesn't mean that there's a way to be able to perfect that art as well too. Because when I got here, Paul was working on steep slope networks. And so he was already trying to address the idea of minimizing the interference band at crossover points. And that was back in '86. And so when he started feeling more comfortable, then he brought me in the work that he was doing. And I kind of adopted that because Paul used to tell me best logic has to win. Even if it's not your idea, best logic has to win. And so as he was explaining it to me, it just seemed, well, let's try it. Let's find out. And then we have a pretty accurate software program that helps us do those networks. Mm-hmm. We don't have to sit with a box and be changing everything. You can do it on the computer. And I've tried to fine tune that process so that what is designed in the computer actually works in the real world, right? And so Paul was already on that kick, that two-way. And then it turns out when he listened to it, he said, we can't call it a Klipsch horn too. And I said, well, you can call it whatever you want. You're Mr. Klipsch. He said, no, it's better in a Klipsch horn and why the Jubilee was born. Mm-hmm. I've designed some two-ways too, whenever possible. In the pro world, sometimes you have to have 3-4 ways because of the maximum output that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And now you're getting to spread that bandwidth. So it's necessary sometimes. In a hi-fi environment, if a two-way can do it, I'm there, bro. Mm-hmm. I'm there. So I was telling Jesse that ultimately, trying to understand the speaker parts, the acoustic properties of the parts, and how we're going to try to meld them together. Ultimately, we have to get every quarter dB out of it that we can. Mm-hmm. Do we know the coverage patterns? We know the tunings. We have a lot of data, and now we have to figure out how we're going to bring that together. He sent me the dimensions of the box and what you're looking for. Got on our computer, realized that the Heresy woofer would work really well in this. Mm-hmm. And I've always liked, front-mounted ports. On a Heresy 4, we can't. I mean, it's like
there's just no space for it.
Yeah, it's like, so we'd have to increase it even more.
Yeah, that was a big part of also. I just felt like redesigning the Heresy. It seemed just super logical. If I could move the other drivers off the baffle, put the port on the front. I did really like the woofer from the Heresy. I was like, we don't need to change that. I kept the volume of the cabinet almost exactly the same as the Heresy. Moved the compression driver up onto the horn on top. Gave us tons of real estate on the baffle. Then we kind of collaborated on the design of the port from kind of like a tuning aesthetic perspective. Then we, like I said, were already in the process of developing this horn. Mm-hmm. It was kind of perfect timing for me to cue that up and do a run of the horns that we needed specifically for this project, which was the first relatively scaled manufacturing of this horn. We only made 200 horns, but I had not done that before because most of my work is so bespoke.
I always believe that the Klipsch product should always just come out the level that we're looking for. And if you have to adjust it, do your tone controls. But I also understand where you're coming from because of the pure tubes and the pure sound and everything.
A lot of times, yes. I mean, I actually like a tone control, but they're very rare in the kinds of systems that I usually am working with.
So now we got a little turbo control on there.
Yeah, it gives you a little treble control. I find it super useful too for tuning in a really live room, because a lot of my speakers, although they're designed for home use, they get used in small cafes. I imagine you'll probably see these popping up in small bars and cafes and retail stores and things like that.
Right.
In a room where it's often a very live acoustic room. Mm-hmm. It's not uncommon for me to see or find my speakers in a room where it's cast concrete floor, cast concrete walls, cast concrete ceiling, bunch of big windows. And so you just need the ability to pad.
You mean the perfect acoustic environment?
The perfect acoustic environment.
Yeah, no, and that's what, on the commercial side, a lot of our people, use in ceilings and on wall and stuff like that. And I tell them, I said, you don't have to compensate for the speaker, you have to compensate for the room, because every room's going to have certain frequencies just because of geometrical acoustical problems, right?
But even, you know, my show that I have right now at San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, I have a very large scale listening room there, and I think one of the potentially controversial and experimental aspects of that system for me and my listening systems is that there's a DSP, and we built into the DSP a tone control. So where we're doing the crossover and all the PEQs and everything to tune the system to the room, we also have 3 band dependent sweeps that we can do. Not a isolator, not like they have in DJ mixers, just a sort of a subtle tone control, and it works really well. One of the challenges with a speaker of this size in general, it's a very popular size speaker because you can put it on a piece of furniture. If you have a small apartment that's too small for floor standing speaker, you can do a lot more with it. But you know, most of the time they do just go on the floor, and then it's a bit of an awkward, you know, how do you get it to an acceptable, you tilt it, or you have to get it up somehow. The question arose pretty quickly, well, what do we do about, like, this thing shouldn't really go on the floor. We want to get the horn up a little bit above. We want to get the listening ear level somewhere in this range. And then, you know, someone was like, oh, well, we've got this stand already that is designed for the Heresy. Perfect, so like problem solved. And now we're just making a slightly lower one that will kind of adapt for the new sort of point source.
Correct.
On this speaker.
Right. Because of the way the steep slope network is working, there's a pretty good blend right there in the middle. So yeah, I mean, and it's, again, it does make a difference where you start off with voicing it. And to me, it was always going to be on a stand. And you know, you put it on the floor, it's going to change a little bit, but there's got to be a point of reference of where you want to start. And it was on a stand.
I mean, I was definitely like honored that Klipsch wanted to bring me in and collaborate with me in this way, but also I've just had such an awesome time coming out here, spending several days with you guys at this point.
Twice now,
for several days each time, and I just feel like you guys are lifelong friends, not just some guys in a factory.
Well, you know, and saying stuff like that too is, I mean, we went fishing yesterday. We took you to my friend's clubhouse. We ate there and stuff. And then I remembered, oh yeah, we're working on a project, right, Devon?
Yeah. There's just not a lot of opportunities, you know, even just like within our country, there just aren't that many opportunities to like really mix people from very different backgrounds and find common ground. What better way could you have to start a friendship than working on a fun project together? So, you know, I feel super privileged and blessed.
I feel the same way too. When I first met you, you know, we kind of hit it off. You hit it off with all the guys here, you know, we became friends. And I think that, to me, that it's like, yeah, you know, Devon and Roy, you know, they got together, did this. Oh yeah, we did a speaker, by the way.
Right. We
caught some fish yesterday.
Yeah, man, good times, you know.
But you're also a very genuine person. And so there's no, I'm gonna borrow this from Paul, there's no bullshit about Devon. You're a very genuine person. And what's not to like?
I'm super happy with the way the speaker sounds. I think it's gonna be really popular. It's gonna be a really versatile speaker for people's homes, small businesses.
And it has an iconic look.
Yeah. I can't wait to kind of gauge people's reaction to this speaker. I think both Klipsch fans and OJAS fans, and maybe people who...
They're gonna go to war.
I think also, especially within that sort of like Mancuso following disco crowd, there are a lot of people who are sort of like Klipsch or OJAS in that context. And then this is like the marriage of the two. So I think it's going to be super surprising for a lot of people.
Yeah, I like that though.
Me too.
I like that when people go like, huh, what? Yeah, listen to it.